Now, finally, as the striking university workers and the federal government continue to tangle over unfulfilled agreements, the students caught in the crossfire are becoming despondent. Thousands of them have taken to social media to denounce the ongoing strike by the Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASU. Most of the students have taken to Twitter to demand an end to the lingering crisis under the hashtag #EndASU Strike Now. But there is no respite in sight yet. The striking university workers have declared a no pay, no work policy, following threats by the government to invoke a no work, no pay policy against them. The workers, under the auspices of the National Association of Academic Technologists, NATS, said the warning strike they embarked upon is now indefinite, and laboratories, workshops, farms, and others will remain shut till government fulfills the agreement is signed out with them. Mayor.
It's so sad that this government does not value education. And it's so ironic that the ministers that are involved in negotiations with these lecturers now want to be president. They could not even solve the problem of ASU strike, yet they want higher responsibility and become president, which to me is just a joke. Because when you have an agreement with a body, there was an agreement that was signed. And that one I don't like about this government is that there was a problem. The problem has always been there. Okay, you now sat down with these lecturers and you negotiated with them. As at the time you were going to the negotiating table, you know what you have. You know what the government could afford. You understand what I'm saying? So, if you now make promises and you sign agreements based on negotiation, which you must have put into consideration the capability of government to fulfill that agreement, it is irresponsible on the part of government to now come up at the end of the day and say that you don't have the resources to pay what you have agreed. They don't care about our kids, about our children. They don't care about them. They don't care about education in these institutions because the government signed. Before you go into negotiation, you must have been briefed by the position of government, financial position of government, and how much government can afford. So when you are going to that negotiation, I presume that you will be able to convince those people to say, look, we agree that you deserve this, but the government cannot afford what you want. This is what we could afford, and this is how we are going to progress from that point. You understand? That is what any reasonable government will do. If you work in a company and you have staff, you understand, and you are negotiating with your staff, or you want to employ a new staff, and the guy says, I want 200,000 naira. You understand? If you can't afford it as a company, you will say, oh, we cannot afford more than 100,000. But when you work for 2 years, we will increase your salary to 150,000. You understand? You will not say, oh, 200,000 naira, no problem, start work. You give letter of appointment. Then at the end of the month, you will not tell the person,
sorry, I can't pay.
Sorry, I can't pay. We can't afford 200,000.
They are not even saying that, look, don't implement this wholesale.
Also, yes.
They are saying, let's renegotiate. Because this agreement was signed since 2009. Now, since that 2009, these workers have been, academic staff have been earning the same salary. How many of us can agree to work from 2009 without any increment and all that? So
And
they are now
level
saying,
of inflation in 2009 compared
let us renegotiate.
now.
You agreed. You have a memorandum of action. You agreed that, okay, you are going to do this, you are going to do this. Then you waited 6 months after. Nothing happened. At the time when they were calling off the strike in December 2020, you agreed that you are going to do this, you are going to do that. Now, ASU is even saying no. Okay, just implement two of those items. The UTAS thing and the renegotiation of agreement reached. Come to the middle. Sit with these guys and say, okay, this agreement, this is what we can do. We cannot, you know that, oh, things are so expensive, but we can do this. Government nominated someone to sit with us on that on the negotiation thing. Look at what the person they nominated was saying. He was attacking government.
Yeah.
Somebody that the government nominated to represent it. He was making the point that government does not honor his word. I mean, and it's wrong. Instead of just blackmailing these guys and allowing the strike to go on, these students have been at home for more than 80 days now. You know? So instead of just allowing this thing to go on, why don't you say, ASUU, we live in very lean times. Let us come together. Let us look at what we can do within our means. But you don't tell people you are going to do it and then suddenly decide that you are not doing it anymore. That was the issue that the Senate president complained about. He said, when you are negotiating, you should have borne in mind your capacity to pay.
Of course, it's irresponsible not to do that.
You cannot then suddenly say that no.
That you don't have money. How can you say you don't have money? And then this same government is the same government that is sending a bill to the National Assembly for 4 trillion to do as the scam that they claim they are doing subsidy. A government that can spend 4 trillion naira.
No, but we have to pay subsidy.
On subsidy.
We have to pay subsidy.
That's what I'm saying, but it's 4 trillion naira.
See, I don't know how much it is.
That's what they claim they want to spend.
But we must pay subsidy. If they don't pay subsidy.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is that
if we don't pay subsidy, what we are going through with diesel.
No, what I'm saying is that it's priorities. If a government that can come up, a government that can, no, I'm not saying we should not pay subsidies. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that it depends on your priorities. A government that can come up with
subsidy payment has to be
4 trillion naira for subsidy because they believe that this is very important. The people will not accept increase in the price of petroleum products.
At least for now.
So if the same government believe that our university education is very important, we cannot allow our children to stay at home.
For those
they will also come up with the money.
People argue that we are so buoyant and we tell them that Nigeria is broke. This is another evidence. They just can't find the money. They just can't find the money. We have been taking loans to pay salaries of federal workers. The finance minister said that we have been taking money from CBN. It's a loan still. We can call it ways and means. Of course, it's a loan, yes. It's a loan. Even the World Bank has been telling us to stop it.
It's a loan.
It's a loan. We are not. We look at how much we are spending to service debt. We are spending over 90% of our earnings. What the revenue generating agencies, what they earn. We are spending more than 90% to service debt.
Is that not obvious that we don't know how to, that we are not running our economy?
What that means is that a time will come when we will even take loan to pay those loans if we are not careful.
Yeah.
And when somebody said the other day that they were printing money, this and that, they called him names. You know, let's not even go into that. But the thing is, these children have stayed longer at home. I pity the education, the Minister of Labour and Employment. I know that it's not in his hands. This is about money. This is about money. And he does not have power over the huge finances that will go into this. But he has to tell the truth. Because everybody is blaming Ngige, Ngige knows what the problem is. Let the finance minister and Ngige, another people sit down and say, ASUU, it's not as if we don't want to do this, but this is how far we can go. Can you please, as patriots, help us?
Back down.
Then the issue of UTAS, I can even know that at least that they can achieve a middle course. Then the issue of UTAS.
Not that they should not collect the
entitlement. No, it's not about entitlement. There are other demands that have huge financial implications that the ASUU has made, like issue of the revitalization of infrastructure in universities. That's a lot of money.
Yes, I have Tosin. Tosin is calling us from Oyo State, Ibadan. Good evening, Tosin. Hello, Tosin.
Yeah, good afternoon.
Our time is fast spent.
Yeah, good evening, rather. Yeah,
Good evening. Okay, go
my
ahead,
contribution is about the ongoing ASU strike. Can you hear me?
Yes. Keep talking now. Don't listen to yourself. Just keep talking.
Just go ahead.
My contribution
Easy listening to you. And there's delay.
Because looking at it from the student angle now, as students say,
They protested today at Uniben. They protested in Ibadan too. That of Unilag, they had to stop them.
They'll be idle.
80 days.
Just take-
80 days at home.
just
That was the
to
time
crime.
that students were at
80
home
days.
more than a year. Is that the way to and you want to build your economy when you turn out to have big graduates?
It's still all about this the 2009 agreement. And let's face it, there are some steps that need to be taken if public universities are not to die. If the funding does not improve, if infrastructure is left to rot, some universities like Unilag, they have very strong alumni, they can get by, they have access to funds. But it's not every university that is that blessed. And you look at some federal universities, the funding is just not there.
And they're still creating more.
And they are creating more. So what's going
They're
on?
still creating more.
What's going on? You
And
want
yet
to
you don't
give,
want to provide the money that you
because
use
some
to do
politicians
nothing.
think that if they can bring a university to their
my
constituency,
village, yes.
that is a
My
big
name will
achievement.
never-
Whereas the ones that we have not funded them sufficiently. We have not funded them sufficiently. We think that they can make a lot of money from internally generated revenue, but that's not the
But
case.
my own belief is that if there is a will, you can fund your education. It has been done before.
But there are more universities now.
Yes, I know.
There are
I
far
agree
more
that.
now.
But
When
if
you
there
went
is
to
will,
school, you
if there
could
is
count
will,
all the
we will look
universities
for
on
the
your
money.
fingertips.
If we think it is important, we will look for the money.
When we were in
That's why
primary
I said
school,
because we believe that the subsidy was important, we looked for the money. Let them look for the money to be able to do our investment. Our investment should not be the way it is.
there are
let them
just
look
too
for the
many.
money.
You know that the proliferation of university is also a problem.
Yes,
because
I agree.
when you have proliferation, then the issue of funding all of them will come in. When we were in primary school, we will be reciting the names of the VCs of Nigerian universities. We memorize all their names.
Can do that
Iya
now.
Abubakar here, Adamu Beki here in Benin. All of them. Some of those names I still remember. But that was when we didn't have that so many. But now we've politicized setting up of universities. Federal universities here, this thing here, federal university, everywhere.
Technology.
Yes.
This,
And now we can't fund them. We can't fund them. How long are these children going to stay at home? And if we are not careful, they will resort to violence.
I think we need the intervention of Mr. President to sit down with his
It's
ministers.
not even intervention of the
check.
president. It's under his watch. He's the president of the Federal
Yes,
Republic
as
of
in
Nigeria. So this crisis is under his watch. It's just that he has a minister that he has delegated to do it on his behalf. So it's still under his watch. So he should be bothered. He should be bothered. But the irony of everything is that most of our leaders, including Mr. President, their kids don't go to Nigerian universities. Most of their kids don't go to Nigerian universities. They send their own universities abroad,
And in
where they pay huge amount of money.
Ngige, whose children at least went to school here, Ngige is not the one to solve the problem, because the problem here is finance.
It's finance, yes.
It's not a decision that he can take on his own.
I
We can
agree.
abuse him from now to
I agree.
tomorrow. He cannot. It's not.
But he's the representative of government, so we are going to hold all of them accountable as government.
Like the
Because
issue of
the issue
UTAS.
government-
What is there?
Honestly.
What is there? They said just do 2. The demands are not less than 7, but they said, okay, if you do this 2, we'll go back to work. Or you even
That's
the
what I'm saying.
2,
Why is
you
it so
refuse.
difficult to do that too?
You refuse.
If they consider our education to be important to them it's not important to them. That's what I'm saying, because most of them do not have their kids in Nigerian universities.
Yeah, but they also went through these universities. Without these public universities, a lot of them would not have gone
I
to
agree.
school.
Okay.
It's
So they
unfair.
should do something about it.
I'd like to thank you, Mayor Akipoli,
And look
your
for the money.
contribution. Thank you for your contribution.
you.
Ajide, the last count, the number of presidential aspirants is growing by the
No, we are waiting for Jide to declare. I'm surprised why he has not declared.
before Saturday.
We are waiting for you to declare. Don't worry, we'll look for the 100 million.
What is still a big shock to me is that Mayor has not declared.
He's throwing it back to me.
All right, so
As if this 100 million is just 10 naira. What's wrong with these people?
the number of people.
And they're going to just
Are you
waste the 100
kidding me?
million. They're just wasting the 100 million.
You
Oh.
see the number of people.
You're talking about 100 million as if it's
They're
1
just wasting the
naira.
100 million. Oh.
100 million.
Nigerian politicians.
They're just wasting the 100
And there's so
million.
much poverty in the land.
Poverty.
Over
So much
100
poverty.
million people.
Debilitating
But go to
poverty.
these same people.
Unemployment
Crippling
rate,
poverty.
Let members of their family go to them to ask for favor. They
Asphyxiating
will tell you where do you
poverty.
expect me to get 100 million from.
Yes, when people go to them to ask for favor, they will say,
Yes, they
no,
will say, where
they
do you
don't
expect
have
me to
it.
get 100
Ah,
million?
no. Some of them will say, even now, we'll be touching their pocket as if that is where.
And that's our offering today. Join us for another episode tomorrow. You can watch the repeat broadcast tonight at 11, and you can join us on Sunday for Journalist Hangout on Sunday from 1:30 to 3:30 p.m. We're on YouTube, youtube.com/TVC News Nigeria. I'm Ayodele Uzubakun. See you tomorrow, and God bless Nigeria.